Hello, this is Dave, and welcome to Equities Story. I'm with the Wolf, and this is obviously just a general share advice and not personal advice. And Wolfie, listen, congratulations. That was a great call on MEK. But you know what? Look at the price action, Wolf. Price action is fantastic. It's up 42%. Jump on board. Is this good enough to go higher?
Dave, I think these results almost changes the whole thing for me again, right? So the thesis for me, I was happy to see those 20 at 2, 15 at 3 type results, but 20 and 30 meters at 10 plus grams per ton. My expectations have been blown. I think now I've got to have to reassess my expectations here, and I'm thinking this is at least 10 cents now. So I'm thinking 100 million plus market cap easily on these results. And if they're talking about this is outside of the resource envelope, right? So if you bring it up, thank you so much for that. So if you bring this up, and they've got already 600,000 ounces at 1.7. This is outside of this envelope. Now they're going to drilling between, this is away about 400 meters odd, apparently from Turnberry. Saying it's 3.K from south of Turnberry, but they're talking about shallow drillings now underway, targeting 400 meters untested zone between northern and southern end of ANS. And obviously ANS, this is the one that's come up with this 32 at 16, 20 at 20 from 48. I mean, thank you very much. Thanks for coming. All hope for is a bit more consistency now. So tell you what, the bar has been raised here, Dave. I think, like I said, 10 cents now is my new target.
Right. And if you actually go down here, Wolf, which we're looking at a little bit earlier, some nice, obviously, photos. It's a really nice chart, which can tell you here where we're expecting where they're going to be future drilling. But there's the ones in the blue are essays pending. Now, you come down here to the south of the project. If they start hitting some good gold hits down there, you're starting to see a much, much bigger resource as well, aren't you?
Yeah, look, the beauty, it's probably not the ones down south. The ones here where they got that big hits, 32 at 16 and 20 at 20. They've got what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 7 holes to come. Yeah. That's the exciting thing for me, right? So let's watch for those. The ones just here where you've got your thing on. We're expecting that those maybe, I don't know.
They weren't bad. They weren't bad down here, were they?
Oh, exactly. I was pretty happy with that. That's the reason I got on, right? Those results, not the bloody ones up there. And that's really exciting what you see up north.
Yeah, look at that, 28 at and even down. I mean, even here they're having 20 meters at 1. So they've got down south. They've got maybe in the middle of the project.
So let's see about 100 meters. So this is about what the trend is about 4 kilometers. Is that correct? So if that's the case here, I mean, yeah, 3.5. So, bloody hell, this could be very interesting for sure. Saying as could be the answer to all our prayers.
Anyway, fantastic. But there's and it's great that there's obviously some people in this, Wolf.
There should be.
Yeah, we've got a lot of people in it. But if they're not in it, the thing is, you obviously still believe it's a buy.
Yeah, I think so. Now when you see results like this, it makes you more confident that they're onto something, right? So for me, it's actually de-risking. So, like I said, I've reassessed my thing. I'm thinking, I thought 10 cents could be possible just, on a 50 to 100, but now I'm more confident with the 10 cents price target. And possibly if they start coming up with more results like this could go anywhere. I mean, we've seen some of these high grade type stuff, BGLs, go up to $1 billion plus market caps.
So really, hopefully by the time we get the video out, it's still under 7 cents.
Yep.
What's your gut feeling? A sort of a buy under 7 cents?
I think just buy under that 7.5. I think, that's probably enough. But if you can get it in the sixes, ideal.
Excellent, Wolf. We saw CBA come out with a report today. It's just a dividend stock, really, isn't it? It's a good announcement. It's trending above trend lines. It's certainly not a trending story, but it's a good bank with a decent dividend.
Yeah, again, it just underlines its quality. It wasn't the best result, of all time. It was okay, but in a market that's, it's not easy for some of these bigger players like banks to come up with pearlers at the moment. It's good enough and probably beating all the other banks So yeah, look, it's still number one, and if you're in it for a dividend, looking good.
GNC, Wolf. They broke the trend line. In some ways, so far today, the price action has been disappointing. See where it is by the end of the week. They did have an upgrade. But, again, the market's forward thinking. That's why it's always the market's hard to understand. And I suppose the market's still sort of saying, well, you've had a run. Times are not going to get much easier for you. And at the moment, it's come bounce back over trend.
Yeah, look, the markets has been pretty harsh on GNC, I have to say. However, it has had a run. But there's a reason for that run. It's not just it's going on FOMO. It's actually going on upgrades. They've been coming up with upgrades. And there's another one today. Whether that can keep going, I think it can. I mean, there's no end in sight for this war in Ukraine. Even though the shipments have left Ukraine, they're still probably going to be in deficit, I'd say, and there probably be still quite a big demand for wheat and other products out of Ukraine. So it's not going to be easy. I know. Hopefully they'll get some stuff out where there won't be starvation and so on. But Dave, I think GNC is still very well positioned, to be honest, to come up with some pretty good results over the next.
What would happen if they did have a nuclear disaster? That power plant is not far from a lot of the wheat.
Correct.
Prices.
I mean, you're probably then looking at wheat probably doubling, tripling, or quadrupling from here, and GNC probably going to the moon. In a way. I mean, this is how crazy it is. And we shouldn't be laughing. I mean, we don't want anything like that at all, God forbid, in Ukraine. But that's how precarious some of these things are, right? And again, I've talked about this before. It just brings into the focus how reliant we are on certain nations and certain sectors for our main needs. And that's just so unhealthy.
Definitely, Wolf. Listen, when you actually look at the charts, it's not a buy yet. Let's wait till it gets over trend, and then you can always get back in it if we like it.
Yep.
CPU came out with an announcement, and markets not particularly like it. Wolf looking a bit ugly today, down 4%. What did the Wolf's analysis make of CPUs?
Look, it's not my favorite story. I mean, if you look at the numbers, I'm just going to go quickly to Reuters financial figures. And let me have a look, CPU. So look, it's a fairly complicated business. I have to give it that, which usually means not for me. It's trading on a 50 times PE. Again, not for me. Dividend is fairly low. Yeah. This environment does help them. So that's why they've been trending. But if you look at the actual numbers from today, it wasn't as good as I thought it's going to be. So for me, I think that's probably reflective of what's going on today.
It's had a run. It's near the highs. Expensive. It's definitely a sell. ACL, Wolfie. Actually not looking too bad on the charts. It's trading on a PE of 12, so it doesn't look too expensive. Doesn't really give much of a dividend at the moment. I think like 1.5%. What's your sort of take?
Dave, if you just have a look at the numbers themselves, right, on black and white, it looks sensational, right?
Yeah, let me bring them across. You can walk it for us.
Right, so you've got that pretty strong growth. Total patient revenue, 48%. That is pretty strong. It doesn't matter how you look at it, right? And NPAT up, 101%? I mean, you go, wow, what a company. The problem is hugely reliant probably on COVID revenue. Have a look at that, right? Up 109%, just got slightly up, right? See that numbers. So 205% up, and non-COVID revenue was only up 8%. So that's the issue here. Heavily reliant on COVID. If things ease off in the COVID space, then you just wonder where this is going to go from here, right? What's the growth is going to be like? And they didn't give any guidance at all. So I suppose that's why the market's forward thinking, looking ahead, going, yeah, you've delivered some fantastic numbers. We knew you're going to do that, but where are you going to take it from here?
Well, I mean, COVID's had a little bit of a boost recently, hasn't it, with Omicron 5?
Yeah. Look, the market's harsh, I have to say. And possibly this will sort itself out over the next, say, month or so, right, where we'll probably find some support, maybe around that 450. But it's not the quality here. my quality is SHL. That's number one. Helios is number two. ACL is number three. So that's why, I don't know.
Well, it's just too reliant on COVID, isn't it?
I think so. That's my issue here.
And I think COVID, every sort of wave that comes, I think it gets weaker and weaker and less important, doesn't it? I mean,
I think our wave here in Australia, I think I heard today on ABC saying that's our wave is done and dusted.
Well, you know what? One of the, I'll tell you how the world is changing. One of the Australian sports people in the Commonwealth Games, he was diagnosed with COVID, and he was allowed into England with COVID, and he won the gold.
Oh yeah, like I think that at the end of the Commonwealth Games, I think even the Australian management of the Commonwealth Games team said a lot of our athletes were actually participated with COVID.
Precisely, and it's a big change from when Djokovic was not allowed to play in Australia because he wouldn't have a vaccine. Though I think the world is changing, definitely there.
It's more accepting, absolutely.
And I suppose that is the worry with ACL, isn't it? It's sort of people are really taking COVID a lot more to be, I think, a pretty awful cold, aren't they? Or pretty bad flu. IGL Wolf, it's been a good. We took a profit on this. It's starting to look a little bit tired, but a nice, interesting little acquisition. Try to pick something up on the cheap.
Yeah, they are trying to pick up OVT assets that have gone into administration only like about a month ago, Dave. So they're talking to the administrators to see if we can pick this up. It's a printing business that will probably fit in quite well with IGL. ACCC still have to give it the go ahead, but I think they're doing the right strategy here, trying to pick up things that are in distress.
Dare I say that? I mean, A2 Milk. You know what? The charts are amazing. Where people were saying last night on Ask the Analyst Live, should we buy A2 Milk? We said, wait for the announcement, wait till it gets the stocks trending. Try and take the easy money, not the hard money. That was hard money, and it was proved. The FDA came out and said, "No, you're not coming into America, mate." Bang.
Yeah, I think. Look, to be fair, it's been deferred. I mean, what does deferred mean? It hasn't been rejected; it's been deferred. Whether that means postponed down kick the can down the road for another 3 months, I don't know. But it's not good either way, right?
Well, it's the worst thing to you need to get in there before the big American producer comes back online, so the mums can get used to different. So they've taken that.
It's a blow.
It's a massive blow for them, and
but you know what? It's a great thing for Bub. You'd be going. Maybe I should go and get some Bub then. I mean,
well, let's have a look. Obviously, A2 Milk's down. Let's have a look at the Bub share price. Has it been a little bit of a boost for Bud? And it has actually. It's listen, it's down a little bit today, but
I think A2M management has really dropped the ball on this one. Bub has just been in like Flynn. Pretty well played, Bub. So can they maximize here? Can they execute well and get this US thing going? And if it does, Bub could be the winner here of A2Ms and everything else out there.
Wolf, lastly but not least, two high-risk stories. I mean, PAB and IMU. Basically, IMU is working with breast cancer, PAB with brain cancer. Both some good announcements. Maybe IMU looks better on the charts. Unfortunately, in different times, you jump on board these and you'd ride the wave. Maybe you could ride IMU with a little stop loss just under 26, say 2025. But you know what? The trouble is, these times are just so difficult. We're not in a trendy market. And I think because of that, and not being the strongest stories on the planet, I'd most probably be more likely to avoid these at this time in the economic cycle, Wolf.
I agree. Look, maybe there's a trade going there. Like I said, for me, fundamentally, there's definitely better stories out there to play with. But if you can find a trade for yourself and
listen, IMU looks a little bit better for those who do like a trade, but maybe wait to the end of the week. This is a weekly chart. See what it's doing on Friday. See how it looks, and maybe you can have a look at it. But again, the problem we got. This is not a trendy market. We know that. Exactly. And Wolf. That being said, obviously, America down again overnight. I think not helped by the raiding of Donald Trump's Largo property. It gone into his safe. I don't know what they found in his safe, but I reckon they're having a good
look of himself.
Most probably. But you know what? I don't think
oh, I'm so cool.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't think it doesn't help things. It's like, you know, I think everyone's seeing the picture. The Democrats are in a complete mess. They're going to get absolutely destroyed in the midterms, and I think they're to be honest with you, they're doing things. They're taking the law into their own hands, which you can't do. And I think you know, it's not good for the world when they see America acting like a dictatorship. So it's not good for the stock market, Wolf. It's not. All it does is divide the north and the south.
Absolutely, and you know, this has been the whole thing that's been going on for the last 5 years, right? The division in America, and raid like this, whether it's legitimate or not, we can't comment because we don't know what they're looking for.
But
it's not a good look, right? It's not a good look. It's divisive. And of course, it's going to just probably make those Republicans even more angrier than before.
Well, it's a banana republic. It's the sort of thing that they do in China, right? These things never happened. And I must be honest, even against the Russian oligarchs, right? Taking all the property away from them. You know, it's not right. It's a very socialist, you know, policies the West use nowadays. I mean, at the end of the day, someone should not be guilty just because they're Russian. They shouldn't. You know, if Poland do something badly, they shouldn't take your house off you because you're Polish.
As long as it's not acquired illegally, right? Then I suppose in a way that's true. Well, I mean, but that's the thing. It's the underlying.
Oh mate, when where a lot of those sort of Russian oligarchs got their money from being in positions of
stolen money from the government.
Yeah, but they're very happy to let them buy Chelsea Football Club.
There you go, exactly. I mean why it's been a stuffed world anyway, right, for the last 20 years.
Yeah, but you can't do this. The West needs a kick up the arse. I mean, the West acts like a sort of a lot like communist countries now. It's just pathetic. Anyway, say no more.
I see you're probably going to be living in Russia, I'd say, in the next 5 years.
What? Wolf, I want to live in. I believe in freedom, right? The only woman I've
plenty of freedom in Moscow. You can say whatever you want.
They need to bring Maggie Thatcher back.
All right. Anyway, we've got a winner, Dave. Mika, come on. Right. We can get more out of it. That's the thing. And now it's 6.6, 6.7. So there's the opportunity.
All right. Let's get this video out quickly, Wolf.
Come on.
All right. Thanks, Wolfie. See you, mate. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.